Hello and welcome back to Coffee with Carl number 64. So last week you saw that I had my sister here and we kind of broke in the new set. This is the first time I've ever shot over here. And the way this is all set up, I know that it's kind of confusing if you've never been here. At some point, I promise I will do like a studio tour. Basically, this is just a big kind of square. In that corner is my main set, so off to my right. And then this corner where I'm sitting now used to be where my drum set was set up. And I guess I was just sort of hopeful at one time that I would have enough time to continue to play the drums. It's something that I've always done. And ever since junior high, when I started, I would get in an hour a day without a problem. And then I had kids. And kids take up a lot of time. Now, I could probably keep doing it, especially if I were to give up some of the video stuff, but my time is really spent focused on that. So, basically what I'm saying is the time that I can break away from my day job and from my regular household duties and everything like that, I spend doing video stuff. And it's too bad because it's a choice that I have to make as an adult. And nobody really prepares you for that. When you're a kid, I would come home, I would go down to the basement, which is where my drums were, and I would just play along to my favorite records. And specifically, I would play to, I think it was called Awake by Dream Theater, Images and Words also, and then basically the entire Primus catalog. Those were kind of my go-tos. Those were the ones that I liked to play to. And so I would just go down there, I'd throw on an album, and I would just play it from start to finish, and it was awesome. I really miss those times, and it was great to just disappear into it and kind of forget about the world around you. And when you have nothing else to do except for, homework and eat dinner, that's when you should be doing that kind of thing. Now, I know that, again, I've talked before about seasons of life. I know that at some point, this season will change. And my kids will be kind of where I was, where, their parents are no longer the most important people in their lives. Their friends are. And I'm prepared for it. It's going to be hard. Your babies are your babies. And it's like, they're attached to you until they're about 10 or 12. And then you don't become so cool anymore. So luckily, though, if you do it right, I feel that changes also, right? They have to go through that sort of time of wanting to be separate from you so that they could develop that part of their life, their personality, and then they come back. And in its best iteration, I've seen most relationships go from a parent-child relationship to what resembles more of a friendship. And that's my goal. I always wanted to raise my kids so that they don't need me in their lives, they want me in their lives. And I think that's, if you've done that, at least to me, that's kind of the mark of a good parent. I want to equip them with everything they're gonna need to go through life. And so, trying to figure out how to do that has always been kind of difficult, but that's where we are now. So when you get older, now I'm almost 44, time will free up and I might be able to get back to playing. And I really do want to get back to it. I stopped, actually, to be fair. I played when I had kids. I was in a band even when I had kids. And when COVID happened and it shut down all the clubs and bars and places that we used to play, that was basically the death knell for my life as a musician. But it's a time that I really do miss. So anyway, since this space here was being occupied by a drum set that was collecting dust, I decided to go ahead and put it away. Temporarily, of course, and erect this set. Now, there's not really much yet, okay? This is a table. That's another table. I'm sitting on a chair. Behind me, there's a big CM logo, which I ordered way too big and had a heck of a time putting on the wall. Now, I've applied decals before, but this thing's like 5 feet by 5 feet behind me, so it's humongous. It's so big that it doesn't even fit in the frame here, if you could see that. But I didn't want to get rid of it. I figured just leave it up there. What the heck? Not a big deal. It just becomes part of the set. And like anything, once I start to sort of fine tune it, I'm gonna have some lights that are behind me here, some more visual interest, some separation of me from the background, and really getting the kind of the details tuned in. Eventually, I'll get there. I really admire people who are able to just nail that on the first take. But sometimes if you look at TV shows, like a perfect example is watch The Office, the American version of it. If you watch the first episode, it's a lot darker. I think they tried to use available light and then of course would do, kind of key light their subject, but it was a lot darker. And then after that, they worked within that grid, like you have an acoustical grid ceiling in most offices to brighten it up. And so they found their stride, but it takes a little bit of time. And as a solo operator, but also being in front of the camera, it's very difficult for me because I basically make tweaks. I look at it through the viewfinder. I think I know how it looks, but really you don't know how it looks until it's in the software, color graded, and good to go. So it'll take some time, but for me, as always, the audio is the most important part. So hopefully that's nice and clear and not blown out. I'm looking at my VU meter right now. It looks like I'm pretty good, so I hope that's the way it is because I know a lot of people also just listen to this. So anyway, one thing I wanted to talk about before I get into the new releases here, because I know it can be very long-winded, I wanted to talk about the fact that I've been doing this for nearly 10 years. The channel was technically started in December of 2015, but my first video was uploaded in 2016. So we're coming up on the 10-year anniversary. I really wanted to do something where it was kind of a gathering or something like that, celebration of what we've done here, as I really look at it, I just don't know that I have the ability to pull that off. Where would I do it? First of all, right? Location. We have people from all over the world that watch this show, and my main channel is what I'm talking about. How do you get all those people together, right? Do you just pick where most of them are and try to go there? Okay, fine. But then I've got to travel to another place and then plan things around a location that I haven't been to before. Then, if you're going to ask people to travel to a place, how do you ask them to stay the night or whatever, right? If you're going to fly into a place, I'm not going to fly in for a day. So this has to be like a multi-day event. Okay, well, now we got lodging to deal with. We have transportation to deal with. We have a lot of other things, right? Do you provide meals for people? And that just started to get way, way out of whack. I would love to do something like just, maybe a small thing in New York City or someplace like that, which is sort of a central hub of people. Obviously, the concentration of people there is great. Maybe that's what I'll end up doing, something like that, because I had big plans and big thoughts. But then when I started being realistic about it, I'm like, I don't think I can pull this off, which sucks because I really wanted to do that. Now, that wasn't the point of what I was telling you. I was going to say that within 10 years of doing this, I've learned a lot. And I've learned a lot about strategy, about different channels. I've seen a lot of channels come and go. And there are things that I notice about them. And I think that the world of YouTube is continuously changing. And I have a lot of thoughts about that. And I think, about content all day and strategy. And it's like I could go on and on and on. But there's one thing I wanted to talk to you. And that, again, I'm sorry to keep building up to this. I know I've done that a couple times here. There are, the way I see it, in our niche, two different types of channels. There are the product-driven channels. And then there are sort of the, I don't know, what would the best word for it be? I don't want to say it's a value-driven channel, but maybe that's kind of it. And what I mean is that there are channels that I watch, and I'm friends with these people, that I know what they're doing is simply taking any opportunity that they can get free product to do a video on it. And they think that more or less by continuously putting out videos about stuff that it's sort of a sustainable business model and it's the way that they want to run their channel. And I guess that's true for some of them, but it starts to become really transparent after a while. Like after a little bit of time, you start noticing these channels are sort of pumping the same stuff over and over again. And from my side of it, where I pay attention to affiliate marketing, and the emails that come out and the different promotions that different companies offer and the rates, the commission rates, often what will happen is a company will really go at it hard, right? They'll say, okay, we have a lot of ad spend. Look at AG1, for example, right now. You can't get away from them. We have a lot of ad spend. We are going to go ahead and just find a whole bunch of influencers. We're just going to give them free stuff and potentially some money and then just pump the product, right? And that's a strategy that a lot of companies will use. That's when you start seeing the same product appear on multiple channels. You ever notice that there are certain channels that they can't get out of their bubble? Now, I think we all to some point do, because I mean, like for me, I'll pay attention to Ironheart because I love Ironheart. But there are definitely people and channels that sort of stay within a bubble and they don't ever seem to venture out. What that is most of the time is the fact that those other smaller brands don't have any sort of affiliate program or commission-based thing, or they're so small that they don't really have the budget to offer that to somebody. And so what I see is those are basically product-driven channels, which are really just going, okay, here's a product, here's a commission that I can make about it, I'm going to make a piece of content. And they repeat that process over and over again. And you can make some good money, especially the biggest, I think the highest commission rate that I'm aware of right now with what we do is 25%. So you make 25% of the total sale. Now you're talking about a product that is $200, $300, $400. 25% is a lot of money. Start adding that up, it goes a long way. Now here's the problem with that, and the reason that I don't consider my channel in that category is what you end up doing is sort of favoring some brands over others based on that and really ignoring some great companies out there. Probably the best way to go about it is to balance the two a little bit, right? So, to help your bottom line. I mean, there's a number of different ways to make income and, as a business. So if it's an affiliate type of thing, great. And you could talk about that company. But for example, if I was going to do another video about cold weather gear, right? Which I'm going to do for the next year. I mean, that other video is getting a little long in the tooth. So I think it's about time that I refresh my cold weather working condition video. To redo that video and ignore small brands like Refrigerware or other brands, like what I end up doing is when I have a concept like that, I look for the best products in that within what I'm looking for. So Refrigerware comes to mind, but I would look for a lot of different companies that are doing really great warm weather gear. And that's a lot of times when I'll reach out to you and I'll put something on the community page here or Instagram or whatever. And I'll say, hey, what do you got? Like what should I check out? Let me know. And that, along with my own searching and whatever, a lot of times I'll unearth a lot of these small brands that I'll try. And then it's like, oh, these are really good. It's kind of putting the concept first, right? Here's what I'm trying to do. Warm weather gear. Here are the companies that I found that are doing it the best. And maybe some of them are affiliates, maybe some of them are not. And it doesn't really matter because in the end, the video is as good as it could possibly be. And, it's not optimized for sales. So a perfect example of somebody who does this kind of thing like I do is Iron Snail. It's one of the reasons that I like his channel a lot is that it's very entertaining. I know that he does stuff, of course, as we do to be able to monetize well. But I think that he, again, comes at it from here's a cool story, here's a cool idea, and I'm going to go after that and make a cool video versus here's a great commission rate. How do I make a video that talks about that thing and drives sales? And that's the difference. And to me, one of them is a lot harder to stomach than the other. Coming with a good idea and then just saying, how do we execute on that idea as well as we possibly can? It's me, right? But coming up with an idea and then trying to figure out a way to make the most compelling, interesting, and informative video, hopefully entertaining as well, is my goal. It's a lot easier to do that than to say, I'm going to make a video about this and I'm going to work within these brands. I think that sucks, and I think that eventually people start to see it for what it is, right? Like there are glaring things that you left out. And I'm discovering new brands all the time, and I do this stuff all day. And I don't know. I've noticed that broadly A lot of channels within this fall under one category or the other. And if you pay attention, you'll see a lot of repeat stuff coming out. And it's because the brand has a lot of ad spend, and they're paying these people to make this stuff. So it also brings into question the idea of, can you trust it, right? I mean, like, if there's money to be made there, can you really trust that thing? I mean, I have been sent product which I refuse to do coverage on because it's like, I don't think so. If you remember my Patreon, you've seen a lot of the inside information about this kind of stuff because I'll share it there, but I don't really want to be airing dirty laundry just where everybody can see it. So I try to be as honest as I possibly can, and I try to get it right. I can guarantee you one thing, I am going to get it wrong from time to time, but I'm constantly trying to make sure that I use that as my guiding, my North Star is the idea of having a good concept and delivering on that concept regardless of the brands involved. Anyway, I hope that's not too boring for you. I'm sorry if that was a little long-winded. I tend to get that way. But let's get to the new releases. All right, so I spoke about Ironheart earlier, and like I mentioned, I'm always kind of keeping an eye on them because, boy, I got to tell you, the Ironheart stuff that I have and own, I love. I really do. It's like when you feel an Ironheart piece, it has a certain quality to it, a density, a heft that is really hard to ignore. It's like, oof. Now, there are other companies that do this too, right? But Ironheart is the one that, to me, has done it the most consistently. So they have come out with their 12-ounce Kersey work jacket. Again, I don't know if this is a re-release. Sometimes they'll do that and they'll put it in a new color or a new fabric. But it's new to me, so maybe it's new to you as well. This looks great, and I love workwear, as you know. This, to me, is sort of like the Ironheart version of the Detroit jacket. And immediately, my ears perked up, and I was like, ooh, what do we have here? Now, they've done a couple of different things, Ironheart style. First thing they've done here, they have it's kind of a slant chest pocket rather than a straight one. Corduroy collar, which is really cool. They also use buttons rather than snaps on the side adjusters and the sleeve hem. And it just looks awesome. I mean, I love the color. I love what they've done with the whole thing. It's just done the way Ironheart does things. It's beautiful. So this 12-ounce Kersey is very interesting. Let's see if we could take a little bit more closer look at what the material is here. So it's 12-ounce Japanese Kersey, 100% cotton, indigo rope-dyed warp, and sulfur cheese-dyed black weft. Will fade with wearing and washing. Brown 14 whale Tetron corduroy collar, 55% poly, 45% cotton. Tonal stitching, YKK zipper with a leather zip pull. Buttons, as I mentioned, hand warmer pockets. It looks beautiful. Now, the only thing I would say is that it doesn't look like it's lined. They don't have any pictures of the inside of this jacket, but I could kind of see it where they show the patch, and it looks to me like this is not lined. Now, I mean, let's also get out of the price here. This is $435. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money, but man, is that a beautiful jacket. I don't know, man. Now, it's also, I think that maybe what they did here, which is very smart, is if they looked at the vintage J97, vintage Detroit jacket, kind of, I don't know what you'd say, the vintage market, one of the most desirable colors is the petrol blue. Now, along with moss green, petrol blue is just one of the Carhartt, I think it was a limited edition kind of thing, or maybe it was just around for a little while. I'm not really sure, but it is a very, very cool color. So eventually it's a little bit darker now, but I think maybe it was the inspiration, because clearly I would say that very safely, I could say that the Detroit jacket was kind of the inspiration. Now, it says here, inspired by the classic mechanic jackets of the 1950s and 60s, blends American and European tailoring techniques to create a retro aesthetic with a contemporary fitted silhouette. So, I mean, they could say mechanic jacket. I could see that too. When I was a mechanic, I actually had a dark blue jacket like this. It was a red cap. It was through the uniform company, and I really liked it. So, I don't know, maybe, but it's a beautiful piece. It's very expensive. I'd be interested to see the fit on this, but for that style jacket, it's probably pretty safe to say that it's peerless. All right, Yeti came out with a backpack. I believe they've had them before, but this one here is called the Ranchero, what is it? Ranchero, which originally was a Ford, very similar to the El Camino from Chevrolet, but the Ranchero actually came first. And I think that the Chevrolet was actually a better looking truck car thing, whatever, but the Ranchero actually came first. And so if you ever need to bring that out trivia, you got it right there. But this is now the reason I'm talking about it is I have this thing with Yeti, right? Like I have a few Yeti products and I gotta tell you, I really like them, but I don't want to like them. I don't want to like them because I think that again, it's a lot of marketing, it's a lot of hype, but it's hard to argue with the fact that their stuff just works. And it's like, I have several tumblers from other companies and I keep going back to my Yeti with the mag slide on the top. It's easy to wash. It just works. I can throw it in the dishwasher and not have to worry about it. I wish it weren't the case, but Yeti usually does a really good job on their stuff. And it's like, I haven't found anything that they make that isn't really, really good. I wish I couldn't say that because, again, they're expensive. They're usually imported or whatever, but whatever. So here we have this guy right here. And the first thing I thought of when I saw it is, hey, Editor Carl here. I just realized that Yeti has acquired Mystery Ranch, and that's why they look the same, because they literally are the same. And from my understanding, they're actually going to sunset Mystery Ranch and make it only available for like first responders, which sucks because that was a great company. Anyway, I didn't know that before I went on this rant. That's a Mystery Ranch pack because Mystery Ranch has this traditional like Y-shaped zipper thing where you could really open up that whole pack. I have one. It's a great backpack. And I don't know if they say anywhere if it's made for them by Mystery Ranch. I don't see it anywhere. I did look through this before I started talking about it. Sometimes I don't, spoiler alert. To me, this looks like what they did is they simply white labeled a Mystery Ranch pack. And if that's the case, then I think that if you really like this backpack here, it's $275, 27 liters. The best thing to do is go and look at Mystery Ranch for the version that they took and then Yeti-ized, right? Because it's cool. I don't like having Yeti on any of my stuff. It's just basically a reason that people will steal it. But this looks really good. It looks to me like what they did is they took one of those Mystery Ranch packs and then made it a Yeti. So, unless there's a special feature on here, which I really don't see, go to Mystery Ranch and pick one up. But it's kind of cool. And I think that, again, Yeti, they usually do it right. Their coolers are excellent. Their drinkware is really, really good. What else do we have from Yeti that I really like? A few things. And it's like, it's so cliche, you know what I mean? Like showing up to the beach with your Yeti. But there I am doing it every time. So anyway, this backpack looks cool. But again, I believe it to be a Mystery Ranch white label deal, or they totally ripped them off. One of the two. All right, so a company that I don't talk about very much, but I have been checking out, and I own a few things from them, is Gerber. Now, I like EDC. I like knives. I like all that stuff. But you could get way too into it, and there comes a point where you just had too many knives. But I saw this and I was like, you know what? It's brand new. It's called the LST Ultra. It's a folding blade and it's $39 made in the USA. So it's like, that's like Kershaw days. I don't know if anybody remembers like back in the day, and maybe still, I don't really know. Maybe it's been so long since I've looked at Kershaw, but you used to be able to get a really decent knife for not very much money made in the USA. And like, they would just, they were great. I had what was my Kershaw called? I can't remember. I still have it. It had a Tanto blade on it and stuff like that. And I had it on me for years in the field. And I actually put a bright green paracord thing on it so that when I dropped it in the sand or the muck or within a building or whatever, I could still see it because it was all black. And it was a great, great blade. Again, that's why I still have it. But I saw this and I was like, that looks like some pretty cool features and a nice looking knife made in the USA. I think that it's going to be good. Now, it's not available as of right now, but I think that it's coming up by the time this video is out. And if not, you may want to go check it out. So here's their description about it. It says, the first LST revolutionized the pocket knife market in the 1980s. This new LST Ultra is the next evolution with modern upgrades on the classic. Just like the original, this USA-made pocket knife is everything you want for everyday carry. Light, smooth, and tough. Hard to argue with that. It looks really good. And let's see if I can find the specifications. Is there anything about the blade steel here? And people go crazy with blade steel. I don't think it's really necessary. Okay, 420 HC stainless steel, glass-filled nylon handle, lock back, removable, ambidextrous, lanyard hole, sharpening choil, and limited lifetime warranty. So it's hard to argue with. It looks like a great little folder, and it's priced right. So anyway, I don't usually mention this company, but this is kind of cool. All right, again, Dehen 1920, I think. Dehen. You know the company I'm talking about, though, all right? It's like kind of hard to pronounce, and I always get it wrong, and people like to correct me in the comments. Okay, and I almost never pay attention, so you know what? Bad on me for not listening. But anyway, it doesn't really matter because it's a cool looking shirt. So this is the waxed cotton Chrisman, I guess the Chrisman overshirt they've had for a long time. It's the colorway they want to talk about here. And it's light moss, which looks really, really good. One thing that Dehen maybe does well is their refinement and their color choices. They really have a beautiful line of products. I love their sweater, their shawl sweater coat 2.0. Love that thing. Wear it all the time. And so this looks good. I mean, it's expensive, but you know, most of their stuff is, and it's usually very worth the price. Now, here's the details on this. 10 ounce Everwax cotton shell, milled in the UK by Haley Stevenson's. Okay. Antique brass snap at the neck, keyhole buttons, reinforced elbow construction, fully lined 100% cotton body, made in the USA and in Oregon. And it's like, now, you know, they say shirt. I mean, it does kind of look, it's an overshirt, you know what I mean? It's like a shacket or whatever, but it has pockets, and I don't like pockets on a shirt, Jack. I mean, some people do, and maybe if you do, then that's great. There's a lot of money for this, you know, but again, I found that you really do get what you pay for with this company. They make awesome stuff, but $500 for this is a lot of money. So, you know, I mean, I think it's one of those deals where if you like this kind of thing and you want the best, then this is a great, you know, chance to get that. It's just, to me, for an overshirt, I mean, I wouldn't buy it. I mean, it's just a lot of money, and for what you get. I mean, to me, I like a jacket, or I like, you know, a shirt, and I don't really like the ones that kind of do both not so well. But whatever. Great company. Looks like a cool product. So if it's your thing, then go and check it out. All right, so Devium, one of the companies that I discovered last year, again, thanks to a commenter. I really dig their stuff. I have a wax jacket of theirs. I have a couple of their flannels. I got to tell you, like, this is a company that is starting to take over my wardrobe a little bit. They make some really, really cool stuff. And this is actually one that I had my eye on for a while. I think they had it in red, and I was like, ooh, that's cool. But red is pretty loud. Muted tones are actually a little bit easier to pull off, in my opinion, unless you're really into like the bright color thing. But this is the Chapman limited edition corduroy jacket. So this color here is called Sangria, and it's like a deep maroon purpley kind of thing. Now, the standard ones that they have are blue and tan, which are equally great looking. And I think with corduroy, what's nice about it is it has this look kind of like velvet, where the highs are very high and the lows are very low on it. So when you wrinkle the fabric, you get a lot of contrast and color popping out. It's just beautiful. Well, the Chapman limited edition corduroy jacket in this colorway is just gorgeous. 100% American made. Let me take a look at some of the details here. Custom dyed dead stock corduroy, military grade snaps. Military grade. I think that's a tough one, right? Because most military grade stuff is like, you know, lowest bidder, and it's like, you know, people think mil spec is like, well, this is the very, very high specification kind of thing. It's usually not, but either way, I get you. Okay, locker loop for easy hang, double chest pockets. Devium trademark label, 100% American made, just $209. Now that's what I'm talking about. Okay, as much as that Chrisman overshirt I'm sure is beautiful and a great piece and everything like that, this on the other hand is what I'm talking about. I don't mind paying $200 for a great shirt, and something like this actually that you would wear a lot. And a lot of times I think as an overshirt, right, you would wear this over maybe a long sleeve tee or short sleeve tee in place of a jacket in the spring or summer. And with these colors, it's hard to go wrong. And that's a beautiful color. I just think that I'm having a hard time not picking it up for myself, because something about that sort of like Merlot kind of look is a very rich look. It looks great with everything, right? It looks good with blacks. It looks good with brown. It looks good with gray. And it's just, it's very easy to pull off. And I think a lot of guys sort of sleep on purple and maroon. Those tones look really good. And if you think purple, right? You think of like this bright, kind of neighbor of pink. It's not that. This is a very masculine look. It looks awesome. And in that corduroy, it's just different. It's unexpected. And Devium has a winner on their hands here. I would love to see what the sizing is like. Their sizing, I found, is actually pretty good. A lot of times these brands, they make this things like really, really small, and it's like you can't even wear the thing. But if it's like their Boca flannel, it's roomy enough, and I found that their Boca flannel actually fits me really well. So it's just a beautiful piece. I think this might be in my cart by the end of the day. All right, a new brand to me, and I want to see if you heard about this one, is Outerknown. Outerknown, I started seeing them because they started being advertised to me in my feed, so they know what I like to see. Meta's always watching, right? But they have a lot of really good pieces here. And as my sister mentioned last week, not a lot of these companies offer women's stuff. Well, Outerknown does. Now, I don't have anything from this company yet, but looking through it, I don't think it'll be long before I do have some of their stuff, because they're doing everything that I like, So we have a lot of workwear-inspired gear here, a lot of outdoorsy kind of stuff, flannels, heavy fabrics. But they also have things like, I see this here. This is, they have like some shorts, which almost look like, I think they might be swim trunks. I don't know much about them. I really am looking forward to learning more. But at first glance, they look like they might be a great company and with some really cool products. Now, I say that without really doing a whole lot of digging. I'd like to check out more, and I'd like to hear more from you if you have any experience with them. But they look pretty good. So anyway, check out Outerknown. Let me know what you think. I do think that their stuff looks awesome. All right, my friends, as you can see, because the window's right there, I have a big old window, and it's gotten pretty dark out there. Looks like maybe there's some rain on the way. Hard to tell. My lighting setup isn't quite right yet, you know what I mean? But anyway, that's kind of what's going on this week, and hopefully things will, solidify around here and become a better set, because right now it's a little bit of a thrown together, but little by little, as I can, I'm trying to refine it. So we are going to go to the patrons only segment right now. So for the rest of you, thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you on the next Coffee with Carl, episode 65. Damn.